Welcome to the build update on the Righteous Fire Impulsa Auto Bomber. This is after about 2 days into a league, roughly speaking. Our gear is pretty bad, I would say. It's not really min-max to any sort of extent, but it already feels really good. The only downside I'm having right now is just because of my gear is not the greatest. Our HP pool is only at 4,600, so it's kind of ZHP for the current content we're in. It's not really great. We have 4,600 HP, you know, fortify, and we insta-kill pretty much everything around us. But when the second you get to that boss fight, the boss is going to one-shot you if it's a heavy fizz hit and you don't dodge it, type of thing. So I'm definitely planning to upgrade, min-max the gear much past what it is currently. Also, our single target is pretty freaking good, even though the gear we have is, I don't know, it's just mediocre. It's just mediocre gear. So I just wanted to give you guys a glimpse into what this build looks like with really not that much good gear to back it up, so to speak. So that way you can know, okay, if I invested just a little bit into it, this is what it could look like in terms of chaining explosions. It really ends up feeling pretty good. I fully would recommend doing this as a chieftain rather than a trickster. So far at this point, I haven't felt very convinced that trickster is the play. I still very much believe if you're going to do a life-based Righteous Fire, I still am fully on the end of believing that chieftain is 100% the go-to move and is going to get you a better result than trickster will. I think it is better survivability, I think it's more consistent damage, and I think it's tankier. I will hopefully try to include a tree on this POB for chieftain. If I forget to put the tree into the description, feel free to check out my profile, which has a character named Cold and Hollow, which is basically a level 94 chieftain that I previously did for Righteous Fire, which is very similar to how I would recommend speccing your character to kind of get hopefully some decent results. I think this is basically all cleared out. I'm going to go ahead and leave this map, give you guys a quick rundown of what passives I took, what currently is my tree layout, and then a little just overview of my gear, so that way you can really be not intimidated by it. So you can see that it's really nothing super special. As I mentioned previously, it's all about using this combination of Inpulsa with the with Storm's Fire and Storm's Gift. These are really expensive right now because it's day 2 of the league, and Storm's Gift is locked behind content that you need to get to high tier maps, so only a few have been dropped. But once people start getting to the high tier maps, these are going to be dropping all over the place. No one really uses them ever, so they're usually generally once unique. This will drop in price significantly until it's cheap. Stormfire, same deal. It's build defining initially, it's rare initially, but once the 10 builds playing Lightning, Ignite get their Stormfires, after that there's going to be 50 other rings that people are going to be selling for 1C. These should be pretty cheap. And Impulsa is the only one that I think will hold some value for at least a week, where it'll probably be around in between the 20 and 100C range, would be my guess. Eventually it'll go down to where it's very affordable. So these are the only expensive items I have on this build currently. Everything else cost me 1C for this shield, 1C for this amulet, 1C for the prophecy, 1C for the skull head, 1C for the pyre, this pair of boots I found, this belt I found, this wand I bought for 1C. It's all pretty budget stuff. I plan to fully upgrade these things so you can have a better example of what min-max gear looks like. But I wanted to give you this example of cheap gear initially. Mandatory. I do not want you guys to miss out on this. Fan the flames. Sometimes I've forgotten to mention this. Ignites proliferate. This is mandatory for the explosion chain proliferations to work out in your favor. Make sure you have this notable. Once you get Impulsa's Broken Heart, Stormfire, and Storm's Gift, and you want to start chaining explosions, make sure you have a Fan and Flames. Obviously, you want a 2 notable jewel. You don't want a 1 notable peasant jewel like mine, but I haven't had a lot of currency to roll these yet, and I'm going to roll them hopefully in the future and then get better stuff. And then over here, I just have a Burning Bright. So obviously, this is not a min-max cluster jewel setup. I plan to have 2 cluster jewel setups with multiple notables and stuff, but I haven't had the currency to roll it, and this is basically how I pathed the tree. I went up here, went all the way around, grabbed Eldritch Battery. Right now, I'm thinking, I'm still in the decision period whether or not I'm going to switch out of Eldritch Battery and go for a agnostic sustain through the Enduring Mana Flask. I used it for a little bit, and I'm bad at managing my flasks, so I didn't like it initially, but I might give it another try. For right now, Elder's Battery is feeling really good for mana sustain on my Trickster. Gives a purpose for Energy Shield on a life-based Righteous Fire. Normally, a life-based Righteous Fire, it just drains the Energy Shield down, so having use for it with Elder's Battery, this pathing was decently, because I'm planning to go to this Jewel Saga, it was the least costly in terms of passives for getting all the way over to the Elemental Overload, Elemental Equilibrium area. I would definitely say Trickster feels good while mapping. It's fast, it's speedy, it's got some high damage, but I think Chieftain has pretty similar damage, and it's going to feel better sustain, and it's going to be tankier. So, personally, if you want to copy this build, Chieftain, I would 100% recommend it as a play at this point. Once I have this more min-maxed, I might end up getting Convinced Tricksters the play, but really, right now, I'm not seeing it. From what I've experienced so far, I'm thinking this would have been better as a Chieftain. The only reason I'm doing it as a Trickster right now is because I want to respec into Energy Shield. So, I plan to, hopefully, next video will be a min-maxed version of this build. Not sure how many days it will take me to actually get some good min-max gear going, but we're going to get there. We're going to grind it out, so that way you guys can have a full guide on basically what gear to shoot for, what the end results will be when we actually get to the point where we kill Awaker, kill Uber Elder, all those bosses, take them down, and what kind of DPS we end up with here. So, hope you guys enjoy this update of where Inpulsa RF Auto Bomber is, and if you're playing the build, I hope it works out well for you, and hope you have a blast with it like I'm having right now. So, thank you guys for watching. Have an excellent day.